This podcast is brought to you by the award-winning prop firm, Fidelcrest.
Lost a lot of money very quickly to the point where I finally had to pump the brakes and say, am I trading or am I gambling? I was working for Amazon. I was a warehouse manager. And so, I worked the overnight shift. And so the Great Britain pound Japanese yen is a London session pair. Of course, it moves in New York, but you get the majority of the moves in Asia and London session. And so on my days off, because I worked half the week, was off half the week. I had opportunity to trade, 2 or 3 days a week, London session, because I was naturally awake during that time. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. At the end of the day, if you make $100,000, trading the markets, if you don't withdraw it, and then you lose $80,000 tomorrow, you really only made $20,000. Like today, I took 3 entries, took 2 trades, 3 entries. So my second trade had 2 entries. I was done after that. Didn't take any more trades. And that's kind of my goal. Stick to 3 entries max, don't trade anymore. And again, that's if my automated software hasn't already made the goal for me. There's days where I wake up and my automated software has already made, 1.2%, like it did on Monday. And I turned off the automated software and I went back to bed.
Episode 212. Nathan Williams is joining us today, folks. Now, if you ever wondered what it would take to leave a job at Amazon and make more than that in 3 hours a day trading or less. In fact, some days he doesn't even trade, but he does trade. You're going to find out how that actually plays out in the show coming up, so stay tuned. We did shoot a video afterwards, which we titled, This Guy Automated ICT Concepts and Wins 77% of the Time. You're going to want to watch this and see how he's done it. Now, I hope you're catching me on the live streams. Now, we've got a special offer. If you want to get a 50K funded account from Fidelcrest, there's a way to do it. You need to catch me on the live stream. So if you're not over there, Trading Nut channel, hit subscribe, click on all, click on that notifications bell, and you're going to find out when that happens. All right, last but not least, January and February 2023, if you join the Robot Builders Club, I'm going to throw in the Lazy River bot that we built as part of the bootcamp. You'll get the bootcamp as well. All you need to do is email me, support@tradingnut.com, then say the words Lazy River, and we'll lock that in for you. All right, folks, let's hear from my sponsor, Fidelcrest, and get on with the show. Fidelcrest is an award-winning prop firm that funds traders with up to $2 million and offers generous profit splits up to 90%. So one thing that really sets Fidelcrest apart is their no minimum trading days requirement on their challenge and verification stages. On top of that, traders who successfully pass the challenge and verification stages are eligible to receive a bonus payout of up to $30K on top of their funded stage profit split payout on performance. And be sure to use promo code TradingNut, all one word, to get 10% off your next challenge. Click the link in the description below or the card above to find out more. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Nut. We've got Nathan Williams in the house, a 15-year trading veteran who not just trades manually, but he's also done a whole lot of automation stuff as well. So we're going to dive into both of those today. So welcome to the show, Nathan.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, look, it's a pleasure to have you on. And I should mention that, so you were recommended by Elise Amores, who's been on the show, and her episode and interview were absolutely fantastic and people loved it. So can't wait to hear your story. So let's start off with that. How did you get into trading and how did you get to where you are now?
It's a long journey. For me, first of all, shout out to Elise, my favorite mentor of all times. She's an animal on the charts. But my journey for me started 2007, right after I graduated college. A fraternity brother of mine had a company, told me about it, asked me to invest. It was a pink sheets company, so for those who understand the stock market, you got the pink sheets and the blue sheets. Pink stocks, they're penny stocks. Yeah. They're more of the, stocks that are anywhere from
Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
Exactly. So anything under $5 is considered a penny stock. And so I invested in that. And from there, the curiosity grew, so I started to learn more about other penny stocks, started trading, I started with $100, grew that, 10X. And then 2008, 2009 happened and I got out the market and knew I needed to learn a lot more. From there, continued to start trading some of the more penny stocks and then the blue chip stocks as I made profits. I would take the blue chip stocks. Then I saw another fraternity brother of mine on Facebook showing that he was making profits trading the actual charts. And for me, dissecting companies and understanding their P&L and their growth and opportunities, it's a little easy to find companies, invest in them, and then hold for the long term, for their growth. But I wanted to master and actually have that experience of day trading, and so master the actual charts. And so I joined the company that he was a part of as a network marketing company. I'm pretty sure most know about it. They were the largest at the time, and started to learn the charts. Took me a lot longer to become profitable trading actual charts, in the foreign exchange market. From there, I got to the point where I was profitable, started to teach others. And then from there, my journey of designing, softwares, became a passion, as I needed to design stuff to make it easier for, the average man or woman to, trade the financial markets, whether it be fully automated or semi-automated. So, I've traded a little bit of everything, penny stocks, blue chip stocks, futures, binary options, stock options, Forex, indexes, cryptocurrency, you name it. I've traded everything except for bonds. They're just too slow for me.
Right. And so that I mean, you've skipped through some of it fairly quickly, which is good. So we've got the overview, but what we want to hear is the detail around that journey where you became profitable. I mean, how did that all happen?
It happened with pain, as I call it. I'm a very impatient. I guess it was a little different cycle. When you come into the foreign exchange realm and people are day trading, you see that people can make a lot of money very quickly, which is what I saw in the very beginning. Versus, it may take 1 to 6 months before I see a substantial gain when I was trading, the blue chip stocks or the penny stocks. And so I wanted to have that same success. And I learned a lot of things about over leveraging. I learned a lot of things about impatience, drawdown, all the painful aspects of trading. Lost a lot of money very quickly, to the point where I finally had to pump the brakes and say, am I trading or am I gambling? And then at that point, it came down to, let me find myself a mentor, because the company I was with, they weren't really focused on teaching you how to trade. They were more focused on having you recruit and more people to the company. And so I went and found myself a mentor who taught a simple strategy around the Great Britain pound, Japanese yen pair. And then from there, my trading journey started, with learning risk management, with learning, patience and waiting for the proper entry. And again, over the years, I've gotten, more diligent around those aspects, as I am, I've always been an impatient, individual. So that finding those human tendencies, was also a desire, or not a desire, but a reason for designing some of the fully automated, softwares that I've designed, because it takes that human emotion out, and the software does what it's supposed to do, and not, how you feel for the day.
Now, did you the first mentor you found, was that, I don't know if that was Elise or not, but I mean, were you lucky with that, or did you do something different from other people that took their mentorship?
So Elise was my second mentor, who's more of a mentorship in the realm of institutional style trading. My first mentor, he had more of a how do I explain it? More of a retail style of trading model, and it only worked, or at the time he only used it on GJ, and so from there it's just a matter of sticking with that pair, trading that pair. I believe there was a 2-year span where I only traded the Great Britain pound, Japanese yen. But while I was trading it, I was also learning about the Great Britain pound and all the other GBP pairs, the different strategies, the time-based strategies they have, the breakout strategies they have, just naturally based off of the Great Britain pound moving during London session. So that was kind of my journey, was honing in on the GBP pairs and learning all I could about them to help improve the strategy that my first mentor had taught me.
It's interesting because I mean, a lot of people will go to a mentor and then they teach them what to do, and then they go off and they don't do that, or they go and try it. They lose the first trade and they go, oh, this thing doesn't work. They don't back test it, all this sort of stuff. What do you think made you different from everyone else who does that, or goes down that road, versus sticking to it and just going, you said you traded it for 2 years. I mean, what made you different? Why did you do that? Why did you decide to do that?
I use an analogy. So my background is, again, I've got a degree in mathematics, and I used to tutor a lot of individuals, all throughout high school, college, even after college. And math is a foreign language. And some would say that even trading is a foreign language. And with foreign languages, true foreign languages, or topics that are hard concepts to learn, they take time. So you can't give up on them immediately. For me, I wanted to master it. And so I knew I was going to put in the amount of time necessary, to get as good as possible, with trading, that strategy that he taught, while also trying to, improve the strategy by learning as much as I could about the GBP pairs. I've only ever wanted to be two things ever in life. The first was an astronaut, but when I found out you had to go to school for 10 years, I said, well, it's not going to be an astronaut because I'm only going to do 4 years of college. I'm not doing any more. The second was work on Wall Street. Luckily for me, I did not get accepted. Already, I didn't even apply to any Ivy League schools to get an opportunity to work on Wall Street. But had I had, and made that move, I would have been laid off, within 6 months as I graduated, in 07. And the very next year is when, the Great Recession started. So that's the journey I've been on, is to master the financial markets and, get as close as to working on Wall Street as possible.
Yeah. So that was your goals versus, I suppose, other people that maybe, that they had a career goal and they've done the career. Now they want to get out of that. So they got a different sort of drivers versus what that was one of your goals. That was your career path. Okay. Interesting. Now, back on that GJ strategy. So to give yourself the confidence in making it work and making it profitable, did you do much back testing?
A lot of back testing, a lot of demo trading. And then, at some points, you'll learn from a mentor that, even with demo trading, the demo servers that the brokers provide are significantly different and react different with news and things of that nature versus the live servers. So what I would do is, after I've done my back testing, and I've done, some demo testing, I would just put $100 into an account and I would trade a strategy with the lowest lot size available, 0.01. And, it wasn't about making money at the time. It was making sure that I'm actually, trading the strategy live in the environment, that I plan to trade, when I'm ready to actually make some substantial money.
And so how did you progress from that $100 account upwards? And where did that get to before you sort of made a decision like, okay, well, I think I'm ready for something more? Or how did that happen? Because there was obviously no prop firms back then. Well, they weren't they weren't as easy to get access to as they are at the moment.
Correct. For me, it was just a matter of win-loss. Once I got my my winning percentage, to 75%, with the strategy, then I progressed to putting more into the account. Put $1,000 into the account. And then got to the point where you lose some, you win some. I want to say I got with him about 6 months into my journey. So a year, it was about 18 months once I started. Probably about 22 months. So almost 2 years before I was profitable, even with his strategy. So I was with him for about 16 months before I actually got to the point where I was profitable. Again, I was working a full-time job, so I wasn't 100%, dedicated to it, as I am now, a full-time trader. But it took about 16 months to the point where I was consistent. And then after that, put money into the, larger amounts of money in the account, and was able to, start making withdrawals a little after my 2-year anniversary of trading Forex.
Okay. And so I mean, it's interesting you had a full-time job there. You're doing this as well. I'm not too sure what time zone you're in. How was that compared to the time zone you had to enter the trades? And were there any sort of difficulties around keeping a routine so that you could enter or do your analysis or whatever you needed to do?
Yeah, so that was the hard part. At the time I was working for Amazon. I was a warehouse manager. And so, I worked the overnight shift. And so the Great Britain pound Japanese yen is a London session pair. Of course, it moves in New York, but you get the majority of the moves in Asia, and London session. And so on my days off, because I worked half the week, was off half the week, I had opportunity to trade, 2 or 3 days a week London session because I was naturally awake during the time. So that's kind of how my schedule went.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So you actually had a benefit of working the late night shifts to your trading, which is that's pretty cool. I suppose you didn't see a lot of daylight though during that time, but it could have been quite. It was not a lot. You never got a lot of daylight. Oh dear. It seems like there's a lot of sacrifice that goes on with traders to get to that point. Now, so you made that work. You were analyzing other GBP pairs and how they were working and stuff. So what was your sort of next step, and when did you decide that it was the right time to make that shift?
For me, that next step was just continue to hone my craft. So I knew there were more pairs than just the Great Britain pound Japanese yen. I started to explore and learn other strategies. Went to a couple other new companies, that were in the trading space that I thought were going to be different. Learned some things, made some contacts, some connections. One connection led me to starting a trading group of my own, with 5 other individuals. And so we went out and built our own community, taught them, how to trade, just, different strategies that we created. And for me, I always, after learning a strategy and then expounding on that strategy, by learning more other aspects of it, it became intriguing to me. With my background in computer science, designing algorithms is something I've done, at the collegiate level and, even high school. And so designing strategies is very similar, as far as the rules, rules of operations, things of that nature, order of operations, everything. So I started to tinker around and build more, strategies. Before, and again, this is all before I got to the aspect of, actually designing full out, fully automated algorithms and semi-automated. So from there, it's just progression, making new contacts, spending time with like-minded individuals, trading together on live calls, moving to other companies, making new, relationships and partnerships, and then just continue to grow from there.
So at what point did you leave full-time employment?
For me, I became a full-time trader 2020.
Okay, so it did take you a while, from 13 years from when you very first started to the beginning of your pandemic.
So 2016. So it took about 6 years before I was a full-time trader.
Right. And so what was the genesis behind deciding to go full-time?
Freedom, for me, it's all about time freedom. The income is income. It's going to be based on what you're able to keep. Is what I say. I tell people all the time. It's not about how much you make; it's about how much you keep. At the end of the day, if you make $100,000, trading the markets, if you don't withdraw it and then you lose $80,000 tomorrow, you really only made $20,000. So it's about how much you can keep. So that's really what it comes down to is mainly time freedom, which time freedom allowed me the opportunity to be in the markets a lot more often, and not have to worry about, sacrificing a night because I have to get up early for work, or sacrificing this trading session because I have to take the kids to school, or whatever the case may be. So with that time freedom, you can kind of make your own schedule around, your life, allowing you that opportunity time, to actually trade and be focused with no distractions. But then also you get the additional time to actually continue to hone your craft, study more, find additional mentors, back test more. So becoming full-time just made more sense. And again, I was making more income at the time, from trading, because I had, become a better trader, over the years.
Yeah. So how hard was it to balance that work-life trading balance? Sounds like you got kids as well. So I was like, how did you manage to do that to keep a sort of consistent sort of, I suppose, approach to your trading? And also, it sounds like you're developing software, you're creating algorithms. That takes time. So all of this stuff takes time, right? So how did you manage to fit it all in? What were the key secrets there, secrets to success?
Like you talked about earlier about, all individuals that trade and become full-time traders typically have something to sacrifice. So I sacrificed a lot of sleep. That's really what it comes down to. I sacrificed sleep. By the time I was getting on the verge of becoming full-time and then started designing software, I was still working, but this time I was working more of the day shift, so managing multiple warehouses across multiple states, had a little more freedom, but still had to be able to get on phone calls and meetings throughout the day. So couldn't really trade New York session, couldn't trade London like I wanted to, because if I stay up too late, I'm not going to want to get up in the morning. So it really came down to just sacrificing sleep and being able to take naps, micro naps, throughout the day, to keep my energy. And that's pretty, and sacrificing, family time. There are times where could not or did not spend time, eating at the table or with family, or going on this vacation, or whatever the case may be, going out to the movies, because I was, at home designing either the algorithms or studying or trading.
And what about friends and socializing? How did that sort of get impacted?
The same, late nights. Hey, we're going to go out, we're going to the bar to watch the football game. I'm not showing up. So you sacrifice a little bit of everything, but you have to make time for it. One thing in trading, I tell everyone, is you have to have that. We call it work-life balance if you have a job, but trade-life balance is what I call when you're trading. You have to have that balance. If you consume yourself on the charts, you get to the point where you're burnt out. You're seeing things that are not really there, making mistakes, becoming frustrated, breaking your rules, all that. So you have to have that balance. So I still kept a good balance, but there were times where I sacrificed, not being able to go out and hang out with the fellas or go to the movies or go to this event, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's interesting. It just reminds me of a friend of mine who, in the weekend, this weekend just gone by, I was caught up with him on Sunday evening, and I said, "Oh, how was your Saturday night?" He goes, "Oh, I went to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning." I'm like, really? What was that for? He goes, "Oh, I was playing FIFA Championship Manager or so, like some computer game, like gaming thing." But it's the same kind of thing, right? It's like if you get into the trading that much, you can probably stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and do all this extra stuff that so if you're not doing that, if you're finding a struggle, then maybe that's not, maybe you haven't got enough commitment to get to the point where you're going to be profitable. Now, let's look at your trading these days. I mean, talk us through your typical trading day, and then we'll go into some stats and stuff like that.
Well, as I've learned over the years, my trading day is a 3-hour window. I only trade a 3-hour window per day, whether it be London session or New York session. And if I find a trade during that time frame, I take it. If I don't, I don't. So it's very compact. I spend time on the weekend, reviewing past trades, watching videos of my mentor, going over past videos, just trying to stay on top, back testing, things of that nature. And then, of course, throughout the week, I spend time, working on the algorithms and software, testing, coding, things of that nature. So it's kind of my balance. But yeah, trading now, 3-hour window. And if I make, my goal, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, because now, my focus is I typically trade either GJ in London session or I trade US 30 during New York session. So US 30, you can make your goal or hit your goal in a matter of a minute or two. So the days you make the goal in a minute or two or 15 minutes, makes for an easy day. Because at that point, you turn off the laptop or the computer here and you walk away.
And what's your sort of view on like trading just one market at a time versus like, analyzing a bunch of them and trying to find an entry?
When at least for me, missing trades was the consensus when I trade too many markets. Most I'll look at a time, maybe trade at a time is 2, and they have to play off of each other, but for the most part, I stick to 1 because it's easy just to focus on one. When you focus on one, just in my opinion, you have you really truly understand that pair. You understand when it moves, why it moves. You understand the timing on a weekly basis. When you really get into the nitty gritty, you understand. I got news at this time frame, so I'm going to make sure I'm on the charts, an hour before, to be prepared because, especially with US 30, before the news comes out, it may already start to make its move, or it makes its move after the news comes out, whatever the case may be. So focusing on one pair allows you to understand the tendencies of that pair, the timing of when that pair moves, the best, understanding the cycles of that pair. So you just understand, more of that pair, and how it works. Therefore allows you to be more successful long term. And then you focus on that one pair, 1-2 trades a day. You either hit your goal, you don't. Whereas when you're trading multiple pairs, you then got to do the math, which is not a problem for me. But trading pairs like US 30, you have to be quick, on the trades because of how volatile the pair is. But with these brokers, AUD USD versus a GBP JPY. Lot sizes are weighted different. Profits are, weighted different, based on, contract size and things of that nature. So understanding your risk management, all that, you constantly got to change, which could allow you to, miss out, on some pips. So simplicity is really what it comes down to. I was in sales for years, and, the first thing you learn in sales is keep it simple, stupid. So I try to keep trading as simple as possible, because at that point you can, dissect your wins and losses a lot easier. And again, it's just one pair. You don't stress yourself out.
Mm. Now, what about like I'm interested to hear about your, I've hit my targets for the day and I'm done. What are your targets?
For me, depending on the day and the volatility, and again, it's something you learn, trading the same pair over and over again, 0.5% to 3% a day, is kind of the range, which is kind of wide, but 0.5% to 3% is kind of the range for the day.
And is that one trade, or are you expecting to do that in one trade, or are you expecting to do it in multiple trades?
Could be one, could be two. I try not to overtrade. I take 3 trades max a day, so 3 entries. So if I double up on an entry, then like today I took 3 entries. Took 2 trades, 3 entries. So my second trade had 2 entries. I was done after that. Didn't take any more trades. And that's kind of my goal. Stick to 3 entries max. Don't trade anymore. And again, that's if my automated software hasn't already made a goal for me. There's days where I wake up and my automated software has already made 1.2%. Like it did on Monday, and I turned off the automated software and I went back to bed. And at that point, the goal has been met. I don't need to do anything. And then I come back and I'll analyze the chart to see how it played out. So that I can continue to stay in tune with that pair.
And so the reason for you taking 2 positions on that second trade of the day?
Just based on the setup, so I had an entry from the initial entry up the order block, and then it had another pullback because after it came up the order block, it created an imbalance. And so after it, went up a few pips, more like 450 pips or so, it had a pullback into the imbalance that was created from that initial push. And so I entered it again, at the 50% of that imbalance that was created after the initial push, and then TP'd at the top.
And so, you mentioned order block in there, imbalance. What style of trading are you doing at the moment?
So I would say I've created my own style, but I've combined 2 styles of trading. So, over the years, I've really learned a lot, from Steve Morrow, his teachings on the market maker strategy. And then, of course, Elise with her institutional style. Again, she's traded, at some levels and she does some things that I've never seen anybody do before. So I've kind of combined the style. I call it MIM, which is market institutional maker. So I combine, market making and institutional, together.
Okay, interesting. Now, what about like if somebody was out there working a day job? What steps would you say for them to carry out to start growing an account?
First of all, you've got to figure out how to balance your schedule. So depending on what your schedule is, you need to figure out what market you need to be trading so that you can have the time. Most individuals, they're they're working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So that takes out a New York session. London session may be too late. You may not have enough time to trade. So you may look at Asia session, which is by the time you get off work. And so take time to find some pairs that move during Asia session, your JPY pairs, your AUD pairs, things of that nature. And then, find 1 or 2, concentrate on those, and then continue to hone, whatever strategy that it is that you use, during that time frame, until you get to the point where, you're making enough money to, offset your job. I know some of my mentees, the strategy I teach them is if you have the opportunity to go part-time, get to the point where you can make half your income or more in trading, to where you can then downsize your job to part-time hours, allowing you to spend more time in the markets to then increase your income to the point where you can actually offset the entire job so that you have the opportunity now to go full-time, and the transition is smooth and you're not having to worry about, do I have enough income or I have to trade, to make rent this month. You put that pressure on yourself, and it typically leads to disaster.
Interesting. Now, I'm going to sort of dive back into the. I think I forgot to ask about the stats. So, what are the stats around your trading look like in terms of win rate, risk to reward, how many trades a week, that kind of thing?
So US 30, I target a 1 to 3 risk to reward typically, no more than 1 to 1.5. So somewhere in that 1 to 1.5, 1 to 1.3. I've got about a 76%, almost 77% win rate right now throughout the course of the year. Not where I want to be. Definitely want to end the year over 80%. But with that risk to reward, it allows me to be profitable. And it's funny that that win rate is about the same win rate that I have with my automated software. So I think, it's another reason why I'm always aiming to become a better trader, because the better I am, the better software that I can design. So
Yeah.
by right around the 77%, is about my win rate, almost 77%. So not bad.
And what would you do? What would be the reason for you to get out at 1.5 R instead of 3 in a trade?
So it just depends on the target. So for me, I target certain areas, whether it be order blocks, ADR levels, Asia high, Asia low, things of that nature. So it depends on where the target that I'm aiming for. If it's less than 1 to 1.5, I usually don't take the trade. If it's at least 1 to 1.5 or higher, then I take the trade. So it really just depends on the targets.
And what timeframes are you primarily entering it and then analyzing as well?
So I analyze the 1 hour and the 15-minute, and then I take entries, at least on US 30, with the 1 minute. On GJ, I analyze the hour and the 15-minute, and I take my entries on the 5-minute.
Interesting. Now, let's dive into the automated stuff. So that you obviously created an algo, and you told me before the show you started off with an indicator that you've then sort of progressed even further. I mean, how difficult was it for you to? And sorry, first of all, were you trying to match the strategy you were trading manually?
No. So the first indicator that I created was a necessity to have a tool for anybody that I was teaching to actually be able to see market structure. So I built a tool that had built-in supply and demand zones. It had a shaded area that shows, the best times of the day to trade, your New York sessions, your London sessions. So they, you want to make it visually pleasing to the eyes, but also make it, aware for the actual user to understand, hey, I should be trading during this time for London, this time for New York session. And then of course, you teach other strategies with that. Moving average there to, help out with identifying trend. If the trend was in a buy trend, the candles were green, sell trend, the candles were red. And so you try to make I try to make the tool as visually effective in helping users identify the trend and best times of the day to trade. And then from there, we added more, added arrows to help out with potential entries, and then also, taught them other strategies, as far as price action and things of that nature.
And so the fully automated version you've got now, which did 1.2% the other day, is that based on the way you trade now, or is it still based on just something completely different?
No, so lots of that's a loaded question. So the algorithm itself it's called Market Maker's Trend. It's based off of 1% market making. I have not added the institutional aspects into it. That'll be coming next year. But I have partnered with an individual who has him and his business partner have designed an artificial intelligence algorithm that trains any algorithm to trade a specific pair. And so it definitely has made some changes to the inputs. Again, my strategy is still there, but as far as some of the inputs, the algorithm changes it because it can computate hundreds of thousands of computations per second. Uses machine learning to train the algorithm, to tweak the settings. Mainly focuses on entries and risk management and trading management. So those are 3 areas that it mainly focuses on. So market maker is the style that the actual strategy trades. So it's looking for its peak formations. And then once it finds that peak formation and it trends in a new direction, it then waits for a pullback to then enter in again in that new direction that it has already broken down into. That's kind of the basics.
Is that sort of like a peak formation you're talking about, like double tops, head and shoulders, that kind of thing? Triple tops? Then it goes into a reversal trend, or?
No, peak formations, as far as revolving around, without giving the actual algorithm away. So in Market Maker, Steve Morrow teaches around peak formation low, peak formation highs, where, for example, the Great Britain pound Japanese yen, a typical market maker strategy or setup is coming out of London, Asia session. it will have 3 breaks of structure. And then after that third break of structure, you'll typically see a W formation. So it might be a double bottom. It might just be a V, might be a triple bottom. And then you see it reverse, into a buy trend, and then vice versa, for a sell trend. And so that's very similar to what, the software does, is looking for, it could be a double bottom, triple bottom, could be quadruple, it could be just a V bottom, so it's looking for, that actual cycle, that that I learned with Steve.
And how difficult was it for you to come up with the software or get it to a point where you're happy to run it on a live account?
Took over a year for that software. That was my first automated. Took over a year to actually get it to the point where it was ready for consumer use. So worked well from time to time. There's some months that I think the very first month I actually utilized it. Once it was done and all the bugs were fixed, and the first month I actually used it, using it on demo account, just testing it out. I had a 30% growth. Just trading Forex pairs with drawdown less than 5%. For those, so I kind of documented that on my Instagram. Kind of went like that for about 2 more months, and then it kind of fell off the wayside. So I knew I had some things to focus on. Made some changes, some tweaks, then partnered with the individual I spoke about earlier, and that's when it came to a whole nother level, because at that point I got some true technology and machine learning and back testing, some expertise in that aspect. That wasn't my forte, designing the algorithm, and so having that help allowed me to do that. So took about a year before we got to the point where consumers can use it.
Yeah, and so this thing runs on across all the pairs versus you just trading 1 or 2. So this will run across like Forex and other things as well.
Right now, it only works on indexes. That's the crazy thing.
Okay.
It only trades US 30, NAS 100, and then the German 30 or the DAX index. So there's indexes right now. Next year, we'll be adding Forex pairs. But as of, we'll be adding the Forex pairs back. That's what I started with. But we found that just due to the volatility of indexes, catching 1,000 pip moves, US 30 NAS, they do it often where they make a peak formation. They make multiple peak formations throughout the day, depending on what time frame you're on. And so, catching a retrace of 500 to 1,000 pips, 2,000 pips is not uncommon. So we found that indexes were a lot more profitable with what I had at first, because we're only implementing half the strategy as right now.
Yeah.
Next year we add the full strategy and then Forex pairs.
Okay, interesting stuff. Now, what about like diving back into manual trading? You talked about having some, the typical mindset issues. I mean, what do you do these days to make sure you're in the right headspace for jumping on the charts?
So for me, I'm a religious guy, so I'll say a prayer before I get on the charts every day. If I'm in a bad mood or, the day started off rough, I try to stay within trade. I may just take the day off. Or if the software takes trades, I just let it take its trades. Just due to the fact that I'm not mentally there. I'm frustrated. I'm thinking about other things. I'm not focused on the chart. So if I don't have a clear mind, I try to stay on the charts. And then the days that I know I have to be on the charts, live trading with students or any type of training session, I just try to I don't really meditate, but for me it's I either take a nap before, because typically when I wake up, I have a clear mind, or I go for a drive to clear my head. Those are probably 2 things that I do the most. You take a nap before I get on the charts, or I go for a drive to clear my head.
Yeah, going for a drive is probably quite a good one, because you sort of do get in that hypnotic state, which I suppose, and if you turn everything off, there's nothing much more to do than just. Yeah, so that's actually a very good tip. It's almost like a bit of meditation without having to try and meditate. Right. So, what last question before we jump into the quick fire round here? And I know you've mentioned your students, and you mentioned them before, and how you ended up creating the software just to help your students see what was in your head. I mean, what kind of things, as an educator at points in your life, do you see students struggle with? And how have you sort of come up with, or we know you built the software, but what do you sort of say to those guys who haven't got software to fall back on, to help them? What do you say to them to try and get the most out of a mentor?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing I say is, and my students, they'll laugh when they watch the video, is watch the video. as an educator, I believe, I know that, as humans, I've been educating, in the mathematics realm, for years, since high school. So as an educator, as humans, we learn three ways, seeing, hearing, and doing. And so with my course, I have a face-to-face chain, actually coaching. Then I have the exact same information in video format. Then I have the exact same information in PDF format. So you now can see, hear, and do, because when you go through my training, you also have to do homework. So, you've got 6 weeks of seeing, hearing, and doing. And then after that, you get access to the software tools. But by then you shouldn't have to, you shouldn't need them, because at that point you've seen, you hear, you've done it. Then you have access to the actual video recorded course so that you can see and hear again. And then you have access to the PDF. And then I tell my students as well, just because you've turned in homework to me once doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it all the time. You should have a steady regimen of doing back testing, doing homework assignments yourself. If you don't trade, go back, mark up your charts. So for those who don't have software to fall back on, you need to be a student of the game, which means you need to constantly be on the charts. Chart time is the only way that you're going to get to the point, where you want to get to, whether that's $300 a day, $500 a month, just replacing your monthly salary, whatever that goal is. You have to have chart time. No one that is successful in this industry, I would imagine, spends less than 10 hours a week on the charts a week. And at that point, if they're doing less than 10 hours, that's because they've already had the many years of 50 hours a week on the charts. So
awesome. That's great. Great advice. Great advice. Probably want to rewind that, guys, and listen to it again. We're going to jump into the quick fire round here. So the first question is, how long did it take you to go from newbie to consistently profitable?
In Forex, it took 4 years. So with stocks, it took 6 months.
What's your favorite entry setup?
The change of character, pull back, as I call it. So whenever there's a change of character, pull back to either the fair value gap or the order block, and then entry for the trade in that new direction.
What strategies do you use to exit or manage trades?
I exit trades at areas of liquidity, I exit trades at areas of or points of interest on the chart, your Asia levels, ADR levels, things of that nature.
And do you manage trades at all? Like, do you move your stops to break even or trail them or anything like that?
Yes.
What's your recommended trading book or resource?
Trading in the Zone is probably the number one book I'd recommend. And resource, if you're a total beginner, may have heard it before, but babypips.com is a great platform for teaching the basics. So babypips.com and go to their education.
What's your preferred broker and trading platform?
MT4 and MT5, and then my broker I utilize is FX Sway.
Hey folks, ever wonder what broker I use? Well, I use Hanko Trade. It was a no-brainer because I was looking for a broker with good trading conditions and one that wouldn't restrict my leverage. Now, by joining Hanko Trade, I've also cut down my trading costs significantly with their super low commission of just $1 per 100K. You can learn more at hankotrade.com or just click the link I've put in the description. And do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Say it again now.
Do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
My worst ever trade, second year of trading Forex. I was in a GBP trade late at night, was tired, went to sleep with no stop loss. I'll just leave it at
that. Okay.
I'll leave it at that. So it was an account blown because I failed to put a stop loss on. So I've learned a lot about stop losses.
Yeah. Now, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Take it serious, and do not focus on someone else's journey or someone else's success now, because you don't know what they've done to get to the level they're at now. So take this as serious as you do your job, as you do teaching your children. Whatever the case is that you take serious in life, take trading as just as serious, and don't focus on anybody else's success. Focus on your own and focus on your own journey.
Brilliant. Well, look, before we wrap up, what's the best way for traders to get hold of you?
You can find me on Instagram. That's the best way to find me or get a hold of me there. At Nate Got the Bag. So NateGottthebag.
Brilliant. Well, look, a big thank you to Nathan for sharing with us today. Everything we've discussed here, along with that link, will be in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Nathan in the search box on tradingnut.com. Until next time, wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. Righty-ho, folks. There you go. Interview done and dusted with Nathan. Now, we did shoot a video afterwards, which we titled, This Guy Automated ICT Concepts and Wins 77% of the Time. You're going to want to watch this and see how he's done it. That is over there on the YouTube channel. A couple of other things while you're there. Remember, we've got the live streams happening over there, and we've got the 50K Fidel Crest Challenge that you can get access to if you jump on those live streams and see what it's all about. Also, we've got the Lazy River bot in January, February 2023. If you join the Robot Builders Club during those 2 months, then you'll get that bot that we created as part of the bootcamp, as well as the bootcamp material as well. So, folks, if you want that, hit support@tradingnut.com. Let me know after you've joined or before you join, and we'll get that locked in for you. All right, folks, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode, or check one of these ones out here on the video.